It's 5 o'clock. We're going to open the Rules and Legislative Committee meeting. All members are present accounted for. And we'll now pray. Let us pray. Our Father, who art the hope of all the earth, remember us in love and guide us by thine wisdom. We ask thee to grant blessings upon thy servants, our community leaders, our county mayor, our commissioners, our city mayor, and councilmen. Bless us with wisdom, goodness, and truth. May law and order, justice, and peace prevail. Defend our liberties, preserve our unity, protect our county. In honor of thy holy name, amen. First item is approval of the July 15th, 2025 Rules and Legislative Committee meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Public comment period. Does anyone want to get on the agenda for public comment? And if you have any questions or any other thing, I'll be glad to recognize you. Being done, we'll go on to the next one. Of the other considered recommendations, the consideration of placing the August 12th, 2025 commission minutes on the September 9th, 2025 agenda.
Make a motion, we place those on the agenda without a recommendation.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Third item is consideration of placing the notary applicants on the September 9th, 2025 County Commission agenda as requested by County Clerk Donna Thomas.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Approve the report. The Veterans Report was in here. Busy July. There's 100. That's the most I ever recall that came by the office. So, I mean, pretty busy, Mr. Ely. And then 70 veterans were transported. So, and I think last time you said you were short help a little bit. Bring us up to date on the Veterans Office.
So in May, the assistant that was with me, she resigned, and the beginning of the fiscal year, right around the first week of July, we hired in a new individual. So Dustin is with us now, and with Tennessee Department of Veteran Services, he won't be accredited to be able to do anything until the latter part of October. That's their next training course. So right now, he's still kind of answering phones and taking care of the office while I'm being able to see veterans and file paperwork for them.
Hey, well, good. At least you got somebody lined up.
Just want to let you know on our broadband grant, we finally got the contract signed. We finally got all the requisite paperwork in place. Now we have to put that on the agenda with the Finance Committee. Then it has to go as a budget amendment before we can begin to release funds off of it. So because of its government, it's going to be October, November before we're able, probably more like November, before we're able to even start on our project that we had talked about doing for grant purposes. So just giving you a heads up, we'll be getting with you soon so we can roll this out.
Yes, sir. Sounds
We
good.
will. Okay, does anybody have any questions for Ms. Ely? Thank you, sir. There's a motion to approve.
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Oh, the other two, the clinic report, which is the medical report, I think there were 89 patients that were treated, and the dental report, I believe there was 87. So as we say every month, they provide a very valuable service for us. Is any questions concerning that? Anybody have any comments about our community clinic?
I send people there all the time, so I'm just glad they're there.
Hey, next is the Ag Center report. Commissioner Anderson's here, so it's up to the county fair or whatever else is going on out there.
Now, County Fair, from my understanding, was a big success. I think everything went well, and the weather didn't mess it up. Rain every night, so that went well, and that's pretty much about all we've had going on. It's just been the fair, and the fall's ramping up, so there'll be some things coming on in the fall.
Hey, I think I read it the month before about a gazebo roof or something. Has that been decided, or are you
We've
still
got a
still
plan.
studying?
We're working with the fair board, and we think we're going to come up with something this fall on the way to fix it. It's how we decide to fix it.
Yeah.
Do you fix it with metal or do you use shingles? we're fixing it. It's a matter of which one's better. And we're getting prices and all that stuff. So I'm gonna have something on that here pretty soon. I think I got a pretty good idea,
Is
but
the bathroom situation, is it done?
no.
Is it?
Fair did their part out there, and I don't know how far they've gotten away with their part of it. But,
Okay.
you know, the one we tried to do, all that blew up. When the
Okay.
bathroom went from being $50,000 to $250,000 for a bathroom. A bathroom shouldn't be $250,000.
I wouldn't think so.
But when you deal with the federal government, you go through their hoops. Yeah, they can give you a grant for 50,000, but if it's costing you 200,000, it doesn't make sense. And that's what that came down to. Now, the fair board, on the other hand, is able to possibly do some things with a bathroom that's not related to a grant or the government. And that's what the fair's looking at doing, which would have nothing to do with us without the hoops.
Hey, any other questions for Mr. Anderson? And then we'll go to the next one. Under old business, the animal control resolution, we discussed it thoroughly here, and it was in the meeting as well. Commissioner Epperson was head of that. You want to bring us up to
Yes.
speed on that?
So we had a meeting and everyone was invited to the meeting, all the volunteers, people at the organization, anybody want to be involved, commissioners. And I would like to thank Commissioner Yockey and Commissioner Pinson for coming to the meeting. And all the volunteers from each organization, they did have some there. There was a lot of people that had sickness. One was going into emergency surgery, one their mother died, but they still sent somebody from every organization. So while the organizations all still was interested in targeted spay-neuter laws, animal control still recommended that they needed more personnel, and they also stated there was problems with the structure at the current facility. So they need to get that straightened out, and I'm not sure what they're going to do about that. We discussed things that might help immediately, which included an animal resource guide. It was decided that each organization volunteer and the government organization, being Shelbyville Animal Control and Bedford County Animal Control, would send in either their mission statement or what services they provided to me, and I can get that all together. And we had a volunteer say they would, if I sent it to her, she could probably get someone to put it all in order for email and social media, so we can just put out there like what each entity does, because that's a lot of confusion right now. We would like to have it printed and handed out to all the organizations and anywhere else that it might go to the public that, would be of interest. The problem is the funds to print it. All the organizations are nonprofits and barely operating as it is, because they are all full and overwhelmed due to animal overpopulation. So we'd like to see if we can find someone to sponsor the printing, maybe like put their name on it as a sponsor. We discussed asking if the county would be able to print it for us. I believe that probably the most important places is to have it is animal control facilities, because they are operated by the taxpayer money and they're being paid for their job. So all the other organizations are nonprofits with volunteers. I'd like to direct everybody to animal controls, and then they can ask, what's your need? For example, do you need food? To keep the pet in the home? Do you need funds for a pet deposit to keep the pet in the home? Do you need low-cost spay and neuter? Do you need help with rabies? And then they can direct them from this brochure to wherever they need to go for assistance. We have discussed having forms in the trucks of animal control that they can easily give to people who need to have their animals spayed or neutered if they want to, if they go out on a call and they don't know how to go about it, or maybe they don't have internet. Several people have it access, but they don't know how to use it, or they still have a flip phone. So the forms could be filled out and dropped off with the payment at Middle Tennessee Spay and Neuter Clinic. So I delivered the forms to Bedford County Animal Control and Shelbyville Animal Control. I've already taken those. And we discussed that the clinic did not have a slot in the door or a drop box for secure payment, nor does it have the funds to put a slot in the door. So we discussed getting that done. I went ahead and personally ordered a lockbox and paid for it myself. I believe we can put it on the building and use it. That way it can be locked and they can just drop it off even if we're not there. We just have to have it installed. So I asked Mayor Graham if the county maintenance could maybe run by and install it. It would be a very easy job with somebody that had the tools. He said he was sure they could figure it out. So hopefully they can do that for us. We decided to begin there and meet back again in a few months. Commissioner Yockey expressed that she and Animal Control would like to see a new facility built. I think we would all like to see a new facility that is larger and more efficient, because where it's at now was not really a good spot anyway, and the drainage is not good. But we don't want it paid for by a tax increase, so there we are again. Not sure how that's going to happen. I did see on the news an animal advocacy group, SPCA, Daniel McDowell, is asking for state licensing fees because of the overwhelming amount of puppy mills and hoarding cases and animals being dumped. They are asking for $10 per animal. The reason we have so many laws now is because people will not be responsible. Once we get the animal resources all in one place, we will have another meeting and report back to this committee. So we're still just hanging on.
Okay, is there any questions for Commissioner Epperson? Okay, good. Sounds like she's been busy.
Yep.
And is continuing to gather information, and we'll just move forward with it.
Yeah, we'll I mean, I don't want to kill it. I just, I want to keep it on here, but we'll just keep meeting. And like I said, I'll report
Okay.
back maybe in a month or two. And
We'll recognize each meeting, and you can bring us up on the status of what's going on. That'll be fine. If no
Okay.
questions, we'll go to the, under new business is rezoning. Glenn Cruzen has a request. He was representing Southern Land Acquisitions, LLC, is seeking to have tax map 088, parcel 063.04. It's about 25.48 plus or minus acres, rezoned from A1 to R1. And R1 zoning classification would allow minimum lot sizes of 30K square feet. It was an unfavorable recommendation by the planning commission. It was 8-0 in the negative, I assume. Okay, Director Watt, would you like to accept it?
Yeah, I'll just give you some context. You see all what's in here. Planning Commission has 11 members, and we had 8 attend that night. It was unanimous that night, an unfavorable recommendation. To give you some context, this property, if you were going down, turn down Lewisburg Pike, and you pass up the entrance to Neverest Park, the next road on the right would be North Linda, and then the next property is this property that backs up to the Duck River on the backside. And it has considerable flood zones along the riverbank, plus kind of creeps around to the front of the property a little bit as well, so it's kind of surrounded by flood zone. And the Planning Commission felt like because of the threatened nature of the Duck River at the present time, and because the higher density zoning would allow a lot more development to occur in this on this piece of property than what would happen as an A1 subdivision, they felt like they did not want to recommend the rezoning, to just leave it like it is. If the developer wants to come back and try to plan it as an A1 subdivision, he'd be entitled to do that.
Director, I got a question.
Okay.
Is this not the same piece of property that they tried to get into the city a while back?
Yes,
And they wanted to put apartments and all that right there, and the city didn't even take it in, correct?
that's right. Yeah.
Okay, this is the same piece of property right there on North Linda at the backside. I know exactly what you're talking about. Thank you.
Does it encroach on the 250 feet from the Duck River, or is it just in the floodplain in that area?
There's floodplain. Of course, we do have an overlay that's along the Duck River everywhere that's not inside of, a municipality's limits. That 250 foot buffer from that overlay would also have an impact on it as well, sort of reducing the footprint of it, which my guess is why he wants to try to get it rezoned to.
The high side of the river is the opposite side where Tyson is, and this is on the low side.
Yes.
When it floods, see, this is the low side of that side. The Tyson side's the high side, because I fished that. I know that part of the river really well.
Yeah, you can build in all the storm drain infrastructure you want, but if it floods it, then it doesn't really do much good, to keep all the sediment and things out of the river. We're trying to keep out of the river right now. Have any other questions?
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make a motion that we send this to the full commission with a negative recommendation.
I'll second it.
Second it.
Okay, any other discussion or debate? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, under old business, we did have something, a request that came up, to name the Walking Horse and Eastern Railroad overpass that's over State Route 437 in honor of former Senator Jim Tracy. I think we all got a packet. I think most everybody's probably aware of it. It's submitted by Warren Wells and Kurt Cobb. It's located, of course, by the Shovel Bypass, and it's to be officially renamed in honor of former State Senator Jim Tracy. I don't know if there's any need to read the whole letter or not, but we can discuss it, debate it, or whatever,
Yeah, well,
whatever the committee wants to do.
Mr. Chairman, I thank you for bringing this to our attention and putting this on the agenda. Yes, Jim Tracy has done an outstanding job for us in Bedford County. I know that Kurt served with him in the General Assembly, and Warren worked for him. And so I think this is a fitting tribute to Senator Tracy, and would like to ask we send this to the full commission.
I'll also mention Jim did an outstanding job with the USDA that a lot of
Yes,
people
he
may
did.
not. He did
Yes,
a
he did.
really good job there as well.
Can we, I had a question. I think he did a great job too. He did a lot for Bedford County. I know like on the highways or the bridges, they have to be passed away for a year. Is that the case here, or is this different?
I would think it would be, since it's I don't know. We can check and see. I don't see a problem with it. And I know that's in the other
Easy.
bylaws, but him being a state representative, and I don't know. We'll check the rules.
I mean, I'm all for it. I just don't want to. I know before when we come up like with Jimmy Woodson and Eugene and whatever, it had to be a year before we could do it.
That's correct. That's what our bylaws say. But I think that if we make the recommendation to the full commission with the knowledge that those are our rules, maybe we can ask to suspend the rules on this one occasion. Then that would be appropriate in the naming of this. So I'll rephrase my motion, say that we suspend the rule that we have on naming, to send it to the full commission with the
A
recommendation.
2/3 vote wouldn't matter anyway, would it?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Linda's.
Okay, Commissioner Yaki. That's what I was saying.
The bylaws are about roads and bridges, and so this is a whole nother special thing that really is just a thing that's separate from everything else.
Commissioner Thomas checked today to make certain that they're through the county clerk to make sure that the legislature or the General Assembly had named it, and neither had the commission named it, though, so it's appropriate that we can do that.
Okay, being a state, it seems like it's a little above what was brought up by Commissioner Epperson. I think we'll be okay personally. So, okay, so we got the motion right and the second. Any other discussion or debate? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, is there any other business? I think we got something about appointments that Commissioner Yaki brought up. I think it's on the agenda though, isn't it, Suzanne? Okay, yeah. But just if it's on there, that's all we got to make sure that it is. If it is, we're fine. And I imagine it is, isn't it?
The chairman is always committee. If anybody wants to run against somebody else,
Okay, well, and that would get that being, so if anybody wants to swap, it's the way it's been. So I don't imagine there'll be any problem.
Well, can I ask one more question?
Absolutely.
You're done with that? Director White is here. Are you comfortable being able to explain a little bit about the Duck River Commission that you're on? Would you like to say something, kind of bring everybody up to speed, or is it too? Director White is on the governor's special task force on the Duck River, and they've been making great headway. And I kind of want to bring the commission up to speed as what kind of information you're getting.
Yeah, we're supposed to give an interim report in November. So I'll have like maybe 2 more meetings to go to, and before we make that interim report to the governor. And then, of course, this is basically a 2-year project. But essentially, it looks like to me, I don't want to try to get ahead of a report that hadn't been written yet. but it looks like there's essentially two items, one of which is, I think, low-hanging fruit. There, as you know, there's a lot of support in the Columbia area for a new Columbia Dam, and there's a lot of issues with that. Soil being one of them. There's just a lot of intricacies. I think back in the 70s and 80s when they talked about the snail darter, they've sort of proven that was not a thing. That right? I mean, there is such a thing as the snail darter,
And
but
they're in a lot of other places other than the Duck River. That was
Yeah,
incorrect information.
but it was not found there. It was misidentified. So that's not really why it was held back. It was really held back for a lot of other reasons, one of which is the soil and the topography. If they build a dam there, essentially half the year it'll be mostly empty, and then the other half of the year it'll be full of water. And the soil, the type of soil that's there has a lot of nitrates in it. It's kind of turns to sludge. So in the wintertime, it's going to be really low, and it's going to have a lot of sludge. It's going to produce a whole lot of turbidity in the water, everything downstream from Columbia. So it's going to affect the water quality significantly. So that's the main reason why it was turned down. And of course, I've read all of the congressional hearings about it from back then, just to kind of wrap my mind around it. So I kind of know or I feel like I can confidently vote about it. One thing that has happened is because of this, we've educated the Columbia group pretty sufficiently. And now, well, all their T-shirts still say Columbia Dam now. They've changed their mantra to Normandy Dam now, Columbia Dam later. So everybody's kind of on the bandwagon now that the Normandy Dam really needs to take precedent, the raising of the Normandy Dam. And the studies, engineering studies about that are from like 2014. So all that engineering has to be redone. And those engineering studies looked at raising the dam 5 feet, which would give us 5 billion gallons of water in the summer pools, more than what we have now. So that's significant. And the good thing is Corps of Engineers already owns all the land around it that they need. So there's no additional purchase of land, but I think there's one bridge that would have to be raised. So the summer pools, so boats would be able to traverse underneath the bridge in summer pool if it's raised 5 feet. So there's some discussion about whether, while they're in this process of raising the dam 5 feet, maybe why not 8 feet? Why not, more than what they initially called for in 2014? So it's likely that the engineering studies will probably include that just to see what that looks like financially and all that. But I think you're going to see probably coming from this committee, you're probably going to see that as being, I think, to me, that's the number one thing. I think we've all sort of agreeing on that.
I ask you a question about this too, since you're on the committee. This has been something because I fished over there so many years, so long. Why could we not get TVA to quit dropping the lake in the winter the way they do? Back in the day, there was a certain place it went to. Ever since they worked on the dam, they're dropping it another 15, 16 feet from what they used to. That's why in 2007, the lake nearly went dry, because you didn't get the spring rains and you dropped that lake so far. Mm-hmm. Is anyone talking about that? This committee, maybe let's drop it like Woods Reservoir, 2, 3, 4 feet, not 20 or 15.
Yeah. There's been quite a bit of conversation about that. And essentially, when you look at what the river was like naturally before this Lowhead Dam here, before all the other Lowhead dams were built to impound water for turbines and that kind of thing, before the Normandy Dam, the Corps of Engineers and the TWRA, what their goal is to try to mimic what the river would have done naturally in its natural environment because of the sensitivity of the aquatic wildlife that's in the river. And that wildlife depends on not only to have free flowing water most of the time, but it also, if you can imagine like a grapevine would do if you were growing wine, producing wine, it needs to be challenged. These species need to be challenged just like we need to be challenged if we're going to be hardy and survive bad conditions, right? So they're trying to mimic the stress that would have initially and originally and been put on those species naturally. So that's what they're trying to do, and that's why they do drop it down low. And I know it seems like counterproductive, but that's the way it's been explained to us, is that it's for a good reason, and that they're
So
trying
they
to
don't
mimic.
really want it constant depth and speed. They want it to
No,
fluctuate
because then
so
it
the
becomes more like
species-
an aquarium.
Okay.
That's what they're trying to stop
avoid.
it from doing. They don't want it to be like an aquarium. They want it to be like a natural flowing river that has it's flowing a lot of water. Sometimes has a higher volume, sometimes has a lower volume, and the aquatic life are able to balance that, and sometimes struggle a little bit, sometimes not, and it really makes the species hardier. That's the way it's been explained to me.
But up until 97, 98, it wasn't done that way. Back when people at Rock Island used to control the dam. That was who did it back then. It was a TVA guy. One of my cousins did it. Then it moved to Muscle Shoals, Alabama. And that's when it changed to where they were also working on the dam that particular year. It's why we lowered it so they could work on it. And after that, we've continued to drop it. And they did the same thing with Timms Ford, I believe, too. It's just like Normandy. Woods Reservoir, the difference is the Army Corps of Engineers never deviates over 2 feet. Elk River from Woods Reservoir, you can call over and ask them. And that's why you don't have the erosion problem at the lake that's caused, is because you dropped it 15 feet.
Now-
It causes the lake to erode in the banks.
But you have the
We did have a couple of years of drought back to back when the water level got really low. And, you know, the problem we were running into there was the intake for the Tullahoma water is in a position where they were days away from losing water altogether. So they were trying to, as best they could, conserve as best they could what was left, and then they just got lucky and it rained. And so literally 2-year droughts in a row can almost kill that river. I mean, completely kill the river. And I didn't know that until I was put on this partnership. So the river is a lot more vulnerable than we can imagine. And so that's the reason why the governor has really stepped up to try to look at it, because it's not like we're the first people that studied it. They've been studying this thing for decades. It's just that when the DRA comes up with all these reports, nobody's ever followed them. That's been the problem. Nobody's ever done anything with the reports. It's just everybody just wants to get a report. So hopefully that's changing.
I ask you one more.
Okay.
The outtake. What we're talking about with Tullahoma, they take it out. It goes back into the Elk River and goes into Timms Ford, not back into the Duck River. That's a problem.
That's true, and that's no longer allowed. It's not legal for anybody to do that now. If you pull water out of the duck, you got to put it back into the duck. But that happened before they made that rule, and so yeah, it discharges into the Elk.
So you're losing that water totally. Then it's going to the Elk River from the Duck River.
Yeah, it does, and unfortunately, I don't know that there's anything we can do about that, but because they're sort of grandfathered in. And I will say then just a couple more items. One, just to kind of catch you up on it. There was another, we've been looking at a lot of different scenarios, one of which was pretty popular, that they wanted to build a pipeline from the Cumberland River to bring water here to the Duck to help above Columbia, because by the time whatever water we have that's available in Columbia, by the time, especially in drought conditions, is pretty low. And so that was one of the things they were looking at, but the studies indicated that because of the sensitivity of the wildlife, and of course we have some endangered species in the river, that taking water from an entirely different environment with an entirely different, biology, and introducing that into a sensitive river like we have could cause a major fish kill. And so I think that's off the table. So I don't think you'll see anything like that. The other thing that is very feasible, which is I think will be something else that'll end up in the report, is the city of Columbia has, right now, they're like us. They have a low head dam downtown, and that impounds the water, and they're able to draw water from that. They want to move their water intake downstream, I think it's close to 20 miles downstream, to an area where there's 3 things happening in this particular area. One, you have 2 other major streams that are converging in this location. So it's bringing a lot more water, a lot more water volume to this particular area. The other thing is upstream for Columbia, there is an interesting thing that's happening. We're losing about 20% of the volume of the water and nobody knows where it goes. We all assume it's going to some underground stream, some underground cavern, and there's a major water loss there. But right before they want to, where this convergence of these two streams come into the duct, most of that water comes back and makes it back to the stream. So it makes it back to the river. So they want to put their intake there, and their
That's at
engineering
Williamsport,
says,
isn't it Williamsport? Isn't that near
Yeah.
Williamsport?
Mhm.
Yeah.
and their engineers have said that if they move their water intake there, not only can they get another 15 million gallons per day than what they're capable of getting now, but that we would have zero impact on them. So whatever we do, whatever Lewisburg does, whatever Tullahoma does, would have zero impact on them. So that would allow Shelbyville and Bedford County to have access to more water if they get their downstream intake. So I think that, and I can't, like I said, I don't want to get ahead of the official report because it's not been written yet, and I'm one person of 19 members. But it looks like to me those are the things that are kind of floating to the top.
Well, that would satisfy the requirements in that lawsuit, I think, with the pulling back of the water in Spring Hill and Columbia. If they had an additional source down there that satisfied the requirements they needed.
The other thing is, Columbia. One of the aspects of that new intake would be is they would consolidate. They would start selling water to a lot of different other cities that currently draw water themselves, and we could eliminate several of the other intakes along the river. And that's been one of the committee that I'm on, a subcommittee that I'm on. That's one of the things we're looking at is something called regionalization, where we're trying to convince a lot of these water utility companies to regionalize their intakes so that it's having a smaller footprint, a smaller impact on the river, on the sensitivity of the river.
Some of these regionals, isn't there a lot of loss in the water intake at some point? Aren't they losing?
Yeah.
And we can't account for it. It's just
Well, it's kind of like if you're drawing water out of the river and putting it in a bucket and then you're distributing all through those pipes. It's kind of like some of these entities are like drawing water into a colander and then distributing from the colander. That's essentially what it's like. They're losing sometimes as much water as they're actually selling, which is bad because in a lot of cases they're treating this water first. So it raises the cost of the drinking water because they're treating it, and then of course they're having a lot of water loss. The state only really, or TDEC only allows a 20% water loss annually, but a lot of these places are losing 50 or 60% of their water.
That's in Murray County.
No, some of that's here. Yeah.
It is.
So
It's all up
anyway,
and down the river, everywhere.
yeah, it's happening a lot of places. Yeah, not just here. I will say, I think our bigger entities here in Bedford County are doing just fine, but some of the smaller ones are struggling. So
Yeah, thank you for the report. That was very good.
Thank you.
Very informative. Any other business? Motion to adjourn? We'll move, adjourn.